Good evening everyone, I am Angel, welcome to the channel. I'm very happy because I have read a book on one of the greatest heroes of our nation, Andrés Avelino Cáceres. This historical novel is called TAYTA Cceres and the Secret of Treason by Francisco León, a Peruvian writer, poet, editor, historian and musician, published in February last year by Francisco León himself. In 113 pages and 29 chapters, this novel aims, as stated in the introduction on page 9, to promote the figure of Cáceres, one of our greatest heroes. I would say rediscover his figure, because perhaps many people knew very general things about the man, the soldier and the hero. I have to say that Taita is a word brought by the Spaniards, which was adopted by the Quechua language, and it means father. And Cáceres became the father of the Andean people who, in the Breña campaign, or the Andean resistance against the Chileans, demonstrated that Lima was not Peru. During the years of the War of the Pacific against Chile, Lima was invaded and occupied in 1881. Supposedly, the capture of Lima by the invaders would mean the immediate surrender of our country, but our Andes would not give in so easily. Even though many people were victims of atrocities by the Chileans, plunder, murder, towns set to fire, rape, extortion would not diminish the spirit of our Andean people. The novel tells us how Cáceres, the son of a landowner in Ayacucho, in the southern Andes, became a leader, an inspiration for many people, many of whom didn't even have an idea of nation, having been exploited and discriminated by successive governments. On page 28, a native leader complains, "Why do I have to fight against General Chile? So as to defend the master who exploits us here?" Making an army of those courageous men who volunteered to defend our nation was a hard task. He even had to teach them how to march. It's on page 29. Also, a lack of modern weapons and even uniforms had to be compensated by astuteness and creativity to make ambushes, for instance, which helped kill many invaders. In the novel, not only do we find the military leader, but also the husband and father. His wife Antonia Moreno supported him in every way a wife could, sending weapons, munitions, and even volunteers, and their 3 daughters had to be hidden. Against his image, the antagonist was the Chilean general and marine Patricio Lynch, who governed the occupied country, especially the capital city. In the novel, we find out about Antonio Gilesdone, assassin sent to murder Cáceres, who by that time had become a living legend. The hopes of a country resided in him. He was called the Wizard of the Andes. Other antagonists were the Chilean colonel José Francisco Gana, who led 2,000 men to encircle the Peruvian soldiers, the lieutenant colonel Antonio Gutiérrez, who attacked the town of Chupaca, and the commander Ambrosio Letelier, who, as stated on page 31, committed plunder and occupied many Andean cities. The towns and cities which fought ardently are also main characters in this novel. Chupaca, which lost 80% of its inhabitants. Huaripampa, led by the priest Buenaventura Mendoza. La Oroya, burned to the ground by the invaders. Marcavalle, Pucará, Concepción, and other courageous towns that fought to death. In Huamachuco, Cáceres harangued the patriots in Quechua, as stated on page 101. Soldado Cuna, Haricuna, Warmicuna, Hankunan Hankichis Llachtan Chispa, Allin Runacuna, Hankunamanmi Rimaikichis Manan Kamachilloch Hinanchun, Hankuna Hina Kashani, Llakikunata, Kusikuikunata, Yachayhanchis, Chullayan Rimanay Kasyan, Maihen nin chispas, kunan punchay wañuytaja tarikusun, ichaja kunan punchayja wiñaypaj janja. That speech can be translated as soldiers, men and women who represent the moral reserve of the country. I am not talking to you as a chief, but as an equal. We have shared anguish, sorrow and triumphs in these years. I have nothing but a thing to tell you. Many of the ones who are here will not survive this day. but this day will be eternal. These words embody the love and courage every patriot should have so as to defend our nation. As well as many characters who are rescued from oblivion, there are others as well who I imagine are fictional, but people like them could have existed. Rumi, a young Andean boy who decided to join Cáceres' army after surviving the destruction of his village and all the people murdered. Illari Chasca, a girl who was almost raped by Chilean soldiers, she also joined the army and became a Rabona. That is, one of the many women who followed the soldiers in their campaigns and cooked for them and cured them. They represent the many men and women who were abused by the Chileans but had previously been abused by successive governments which did little to improve their lives. Already on page 11 we can read, in the voice of Cáceres, that we lost the war because we were not united, because of racism, a lack of harmony, a lack of preparation, and above all, due to the treason of the elites. So, in this novel, we can see two parties, Lima versus the Highlands, surrender and collaborationism against honor and fighting. We can also see an endemic perennial betrayal, Peruvians against Peruvians, Cáceres and the Andean people against Colonels Bento and Armando Panizo, and above all, Nicolás de Pierola and Miguel Iglesias, perhaps two of the most infamous Peruvians of the 19th century. However, as well as being defamed by the press which collaborated with the Chileans, later in the interview that starts the novel on the newspaper La Crónica, or The Chronicle, in 1921, Cáceres admits he was not better as a president than as a soldier. There is self-criticism, the soldier versus the politician. There is a bibliography of some books and a thesis, and also a glossary which values the Quechua language, a language he spoke very well and in which he convinced the Andean patriots to defend the honor of our country. A highly recommendable novel which was presented on Facebook on January the 31st. I will show you the link in the info box. Bye bye.